gang of roustabouts are cutting up cinema like it's never been cut up before. There's going to be reviews. There's going to be interviews. There's going to be hijinks. And there's going to be a whole lot of cutting in this room. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast. Coming at you 128 kilobytes per second.
This is the Cutting Room Movie Podcast, our Season 6 premiere. I am your host, as always, as usual, Tom Detloff. I am with Joe Christiana and Adam Shoulder. In just a few minutes, we're going to talk to Michael Gross, star of the Tremors franchise. It's going to be a great one. Joe, Adam, how you guys doing?
Good, and family ties. I feel like I'm about to talk to an old family member.
I'm about to talk to my real father, Joe.
Right? Yeah, he was more of a father to me than my actual father.
Well, listen, I have a little story that could tie in real quick that's really funny, actually. So if you listen to the show, you are aware of the fact that Joe and I are very old friends, and we used to live together in New Brunswick around the Rutgers campus. And we would, spend a lot of time watching a lot of films, watching a lot of TV series, just having a good time. One particular night, Joe, we were up really late, and Family Ties was on. And it was a classic episode. It really was. It was an episode where Stephen and Elise, played by Michael Gross and Meredith Baxter Burney, they go away for the weekend. And they leave Alex, Mallory, and Jennifer alone with Alex in charge. What happens is Alex wants to have a lady friend over, and he wants to get rid of Mallory and Jennifer, so he boots them out of the house, giving Mallory permission to drive the family vehicle, which she was punished from doing. She doesn't even get out of the driveway before the car is in an accident. So what they do is, to make money to pay for the damaged car, they wind up renting rooms out like a hotel. And all this chaos ensues. It is just, it's one of the, my personal favorite Family Ties episode. All this chaos ensues, and Stephen comes back early, and in the living room, there's just a massive party going on. There's popcorn, there's a keg of beer, there's even a kangaroo bouncing up and down in the living room, much to Stephen's surprise. Now, what happens at the end of the episode is Stephen explains to the kids, he's like, listen, he goes, when a parent goes away, he expects certain things to happen. He's like, a broken dish, spilled milk on the carpet. There was a kangaroo in my living room. And he has like this repressed anger. It's almost like psychopathic. It's just really good acting. At this particular time, I'm doing some writing with another friend of ours, and I'm trying to write like this serial killer film, this screenplay. And I said to Joe, I'm like, Joe, man, Michael Gross would make an excellent
I kind of remember that.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
Listen, I said, Joe, Michael Gross could act his ass off. This guy could play an excellent serial killer.
That's right. I do remember.
I would love to get him to do what I'm writing. And you know what, Adam, you know what Joe said to me?
What's that?
Sounds like a pipe dream to me. Well, listen, I never wrote that. I never wrote that screenplay. Never made that movie. Michael Gross didn't act in my movie, but Michael Gross is with us on the Cutting Room.
That's amazing. There you go. All things come to sort of. I have to tell you, Tom, you never cease to amaze me with your memory, man. That is incredible. Did you watch that episode recently?
No, it's just an episode that I really love.
Oh my God, that is
when he delivers. I'll say that, like, I'll talk to people about that scene in passing, because you get into conversations sometimes with friends, and we grow up watching the same shows, and a show like Family Ties always comes up because it was one of the biggest shows on television in the 80s.
Yeah, but that said, and that was a beautiful introduction, by the way, but you have a savant memory for actors and episodes and dialogue in movies. Like I said, it never ceases to impress and amaze me.
It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I was obsessed with the show, Joe. I mean, I even took it.
Oh, I was
I
too,
took
man.
it a step further. I mean, I really patterned myself as a mini, a mini Alex Keaton when I was a kid. I mean, I would wear shirt and ties to school. I honestly, I really tried
Crazy.
to be Alex P. Keaton.
It's amazing there are more Republicans young than
There are
are.
plenty of-
Well, I guess there are too many.
there's
Maybe.
more than enough Republicans.
That's true. Well, I guess maybe I should rephrase that. It's amazing that we didn't turn into Republicans, by the way, how much we idolize Michael Keaton performance.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, he is just, I mean, he's a legend. Adam, I mean, you had to have grown up watching the show too, right?
Oh, absolutely. I was 13 in 1982. So when that show premiered, and you know what's interesting is for at that time in the 80s, and our younger viewers or listeners don't probably even know this. Or actually, let me ask you a question: do we have younger viewers or listeners? Do we have?
They're
Are we
all
young?
they're all under 8 years old.
All right,
Actually,
so that won't work. But in the 80s, what my point is that there were three channels to choose from. You didn't have 500,000 channels, everything streaming, people watching things in their own time frame. You didn't have watch two TVs at the same time on your phone and your iPad. There was typically one TV, and the family sat down together in real time, as did most of the country. And
Right.
Thursday nights on NBC,
Best.
pretty much everybody was in front of their TV with their family watching the
Best.
Thursday night lineup.
Yep.
And that persisted through most of the 80s, a good 5, 6, 7 year chunk
Yep.
of the 80s.
Absolutely.
And that was, my 13 through 18, like junior high, high school years.
Right.
And, there was Cosby, then Family Ties, I think then Cheers, then Night Court. And,
Yes.
but absolutely. Family Ties was, I watched it with my mom and my dad. And it was a time also when, I think TV was very much geared towards family. There was something for everybody in an episode of a show.
Mm-hmm.
And this show, not only was it just that time in my life and that experience, but absolutely the show was a cut above for a reason. I mean, it was a sitcom, but it dealt with, as I recall, and I really look forward to talking with Michael about all this and more, but it dealt with some real issues. I remember episodes dealing with drug addiction and pregnancy and racism and many more. I
mean, just crazy subjects. You're right. I mean, it was very racy, and right away too. I mean, the show didn't wait. I mean, the first season, had there was an uncle that was touching Mallory in the wrong way. I remember. I mean, that was a great episode. I mean, it was just. I mean, they didn't hold back. I mean, it was
really something. And
8:30 p.m. Thursday nights, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one of those, I think, lightning in a bottle casts that just everyone just worked so well, and certainly seemed to work well together, and just, I think made television history.
Well, listen, Michael's here with us today, and we are going to talk about his new movie, Tremors 5. It's coming out on October 6th. We're going to get to that in just a second. I'm very excited about that. Hopefully, he'll go back into the past a little bit if he's feeling up to it. Michael, how are you, my friend?
I am well, and I've enjoyed this little trip down memory lane here with you guys.
Thanks, man. Like I said, I mean, I was a huge fan of that show. I mean, I still am, I mean, I love it. If it's on and I got the TV on, I mean, they play it on some of these, late night shows. And I mean, it's just so good. It was so good to watch that show, Michael.
Well, what surprises me to this day is the affection it engenders amongst a real cross section of the population. You mentioned Tremors, and of course we're here among other things to talk about that. But
absolutely,
I will sometimes go to these sci-fi conventions, and some huge guy who looks like he's just gotten off of his Harley, dreadlocks, pierced. Body piercings all over it, completely tatted up.
Right,
I know that dude.
And I'm expecting, okay, this is a diehard monster Burt Gummer fan, and he'll
absolutely.
say, "I just want to tell you how much I love Family Ties. You raised me when I was a boy. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm responsible for everything you are today. Is that
right? Yeah, you raised a sergeant at arms and an MC.
right.
Well, Michael, whether you know it or not, and I'm sure you do know it, you really did. I mean, there's a lot of us that
True.
were of that age that were there every Thursday night with our families, and you were, I think, in many ways, the dad a lot of us wish we had. In that, you were just, we really, it really meant a lot to all of us. And I got a question for you. You were around maybe what 35, give or take, mid to late 30s when that show first aired and was on?
The first airing of the show, I was 35 years of age, and I remember a couple of years ago, Michael Fox turned 50.
Yeah,
and I wrote him a note, and I said, "You are now 15 years older than I was when I first played your father
wow,
on Family Ties." And boy, that's a scary thought.
And were you in that moment when you were such a pivotal figure and a TV dad in the 80s on that Thursday, a part of this Thursday night history? Did you recognize in the moment that this was happening?
It took a few. Well, first of all, our ratings were not even that good the first couple of years. We knew that Michael, in the first year or two, we knew Michael Fox was becoming a phenomenon. That was just, the amount of mail he was receiving from the young preteen girls was, just amazing. And so we knew something fascinating was happening here. But this was well before Back to the Future and all that other stuff went on.
Right.
But NBC moved us around a little bit. Fortunately, they trusted us. They did not cancel us, but we did not take root in a big way until a couple of years in. And what finally was like wildfire was the Cosby lead-in, us coming along after that, Cheers, all the other things you mentioned, and it was not unusual for Cosby and Family Ties to trade places as number 1 and number 2 in that week. It was amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
That was a really amazing era for sitcoms. I mean, has there ever been anything quite like that? I mean, Cosby, Family Ties,
not
and
like
Cheers,
that.
right there.
I don't
That's
think
insane.
not four classics in a row.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't really happen, Joe.
And I can tell you, when we first came on the Paramount lot in 1982, right down the lot was Taxi. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Taxi was in the studio next door to us, and so we'd run into those guys all the time. And then there was Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, and Joni Loves Chachi were just a special.
That's great. You say it now, and you realize in hindsight how special. And to Adam's point, did you like when you were living it? Sometimes you have trouble. Living in the moment and realizing how great things are when you're in it. When you were working on that lot, were you just loving it? Did you have this sense of like, wow, this is a really special moment right here?
Where it's funny, where I didn't feel it at the time. Perhaps in some ways I took it for granted. Where I used to get those warm, fuzzy feelings, particularly in the first couple of years, was just walking through the Paramount lot and saying to myself, the Marx Brothers worked here. Bing Crosby worked here. Going My Way was made here. I walk through the old back lot sometimes just to feel that sense of, my God, the things that were done here were amazing.
That's great.
And so I was far more aware of what had gone before me than what I was doing at the time. And I suppose you do kind of take the present for granted. And maybe someday somebody will be saying, my goodness, do you know Family Ties was shot here?
Well, we just did say that, Michael. we were just saying that. And, one of the things that I just wrote down was, being part of something iconic. And, the Marx Brothers and Bing Crosby, obviously they've have their place in our iconography here. But I think that Family Ties, maybe not enough times has passed, but for sure, guys of our generation, it's definitely part of our sort of iconography here.
Oh, right. So. And but I hadn't the sense. I really didn't. It was my first regular role on a television show, and I had been mainly a theater baby before that, so I was unaware of a lot of what was happening on prime time, and I didn't know almost how good it was at the time because I was not a regular television watcher.
were you learning comedy while doing Family Ties? I mean, 'cause, first of all, you're really good at it, and it does tie into Burt Gummer because as heroic and action like Gummer is. I mean, there's a lot of comedy with Gummer, right? I mean,
There's right, right. Bert is a comic masterpiece, and I take only partial credit for that. I constantly look back to our writers, the people who created Bert. And I fleshed it out, yes, but
right.
they created the skeleton and the mind of that man, and I just kept working.
But you're playing it, Michael. I mean, and you do it. I mean, that's freaking.
Well, there's no question that Bert gets all the best lines. I mean, all the
Right.
best lines are Bert's,
Right.
and you make the most of them. You have fantastic time, locked and loaded on that character. It's great.
Well,
So was Family Ties a comedic learning experience for you?
yes and no. Comedy had been something I had loved for a long, long time. What it did teach me a lot more was being a bit smaller, containing it for the camera. That camera is so close sometimes, and I was accustomed to the stage where the comedy was far more broad. So, as the saying goes, that little old lady in the last row of the balcony can see what you're doing. And so I really had to tone things down. And quite frankly, I tend towards broad comedy. So all my life, directors have been saying, Michael, could you give us a little less?
Yeah, and that's hard to do when you're a 6'4" man, right? Because I know
Yes,
I'm
right.
6'4" too, and people are always telling me, "Tom, calm down."
Well, in fact,
Really?
Tom, you're taller than I am. I'm six, just about 6'3".
Yeah. Well, but you know what I'm saying, right? I mean, you're a
Yes,
tall guy.
exactly.
I'm sure you're very vocal. I mean, that's it. Just comes naturally with.
But you know what's interesting though, Mike, when you're saying that, is that what Tom was saying earlier about that scene where the seething anger beneath, and I actually remember a few moments also from other episodes where the repressed anger that you're not wanting to lash out, and that's subtle. That isn't broad. I mean, you really were able to
Yeah.
master that. And I remember a lot of that sticking out as this great subtext that you were
It's just
playing
deliver.
it calm and cool, but man, we could see the dad wheels coming unhinged inside, which is brilliant, and that's really subtle stuff. I think that if you learned on that show, man, you learned quickly and you learned well.
Well, what I learned on that show and what I knew for years before in theater and ever since is that you associate yourself with good writing, and it's almost actor proof.
Mhm.
You
Nice.
can you start with great material, as I've said on many occasions. I don't stand there and make those things up like the late Robin Williams used to do.
Mm.
I like good material, and I'm attracted to good material, and things like Family Ties, Tremors, and so many other things. Oh yeah, I've done my share of dogs, of course, but uh, in general, I'm attracted to good material, and that's what always gets me through.
So you really like the written page more than improvising, Michael?
I love improvising, but I love the fact, particularly when you're going into a place that's so very different from yourself.
Hmm.
You're going into a world that's very much apart from your own. I trust good writers to have given things a lot of thought. They've written, they've rewritten, they've done several drafts. They've thought to themselves, no, no, here's the perfect word, as they go back and look at it yet again over time. And so I always give the writer the benefit of a doubt. And will things be changed sometimes? Yeah, but I usually try to look at it for a long time and say, what was he intending to do here, as opposed to what can I do to make it better? In that respect, I have a great deal of respect for the writer.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But working with you did an episode or a couple episodes of
Yeah, that's what I
Curb
was
Your
just about to
Enthusiasm,
bring up,
right?
Joe. See, great minds think alike, Joe. It's just about that.
Yeah, because he doesn't write
Right.
much, right?
No, exactly. We pretty much made up dialogue on the spot. That is to say, we were given an outline on the scene. We would stand around together and say, okay, what he has to learn in this scene is that his friend has died, and that his this, thus and such, and this amount of information has to be conveyed. However you intend to convey that is up to you. And so we just start talking and get into our characters and begin to express ourselves as we thought these characters might. And then they'd film it, we'd stop, and we'd say, okay, what worked and what didn't work?
Wow.
Should we pursue this line of thought, or should we chop that off and go a different way?
Now, is that intimidating to be working with somebody like Larry David, who lives on that kind of edge?
No, not in a way. No, it was just fun because I remember saying to my agent manager after I got through with the audition, I said, "This is so much fun. This is a great audition. I don't have to learn any lines.
It's just a piece of cake."
Yeah, they said, you're going in to play his dermatologist. So I just thought, I'm going to, and you have to just go in and improvise with Larry. This was before I knew what the story was about. All I knew was I was playing his dermatologist, and we were going there, and he was keeping an appointment, and he had something on his. I know what it was. They said, all right, in this audition, he has something on his hand or his arm or something, and he wants you to, or his neck, and he wants you to take a look at it, and it's benign. But that's all they told me. So I thought, well, I've got to take a strong approach here. I have to have an agenda of my own as a character. So I went in determined to get Larry David to take all his clothes off for me and strip for me so I could examine his entire body. And, for any signs of skin disease or melanoma. And so I guess that had a lot to do with it because it was fun, because it was my pursuit of him in the course of the audition saying, you really have to take your clothes off here, and I want to examine this and that. We just had a lot of fun.
We're talking with actor Michael Gross. This is the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. He's coming out with a new movie, Tremors 5 Bloodlines, October 6th. Tuesday, October 6th, I believe. Michael, we've been talking about Family Ties. We've been talking about your sitcom work. Let's move into Tremors, because you basically leave Family Ties. From what I understand, you do a rap party for Family Ties, and the next day, boom, you're doing Tremors, the first film.
That's exactly right. And it wasn't the day after we shot, but it was the day after the rap party. We delayed the rap party by several weeks after our last episode. Mm-hmm. And in that time, I'd been hired by Tremors, so we had a rap party on one day, and we all got together, apart from the set, several weeks after we had wrapped officially on the set, and the next day I was on location for Tremors, and that was a great thing for me. A great thing, not only because of Bert was so wonderful, but when anybody does a show for that length of time, i.e. 7 years, the question is always in your mind, well, will there be life after Family Ties, and what kind of character will it be? That answered both questions. Number one, yes, there would be work after Family Ties, and number two, it could be a vastly different sort of character. So it was a real blessing.
I mean, did you listen? I mean, you auditioned for Gummer, and from what I understand, from what I read, you did something pretty outrageous at the audition.
This this is a point of contention between Ron Underwood and myself. Now, whether I was just so into the moment I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. I mean, I don't often lose myself, or whether I don't know.
Sounds pretty crazy, Michael.
It does. Ron Underwood claims I jumped on top of his desk. Now, in all fairness, as I remember the room, if I did do that, and I have no memory of jumping on top of his desk, I keep saying to him, I think you're confusing me with another actor, Ron. Oh. But in all fairness, if I did jump on top of his desk, it was one of these sort of sheet metal, old 40 style steel desks, that they were just renting a room for the day.
Right.
I did not knock over his fancy pen and pencil set. It was not his personal desk. This was in some back room of an audition hall somewhere. So it was not his personal furniture. So I don't know. He claims I did this, and I have no memory of it. I truly
It's
do not.
hilarious. I mean, just reading about that made me laugh. I was just trying to, like, you just picture Michael Gross doing that, like you just picture Stephen Keaton doing that at that
Yeah,
time.
right.
It just seems so insane. Like it didn't even make any sense. But whatever happened, I mean, you got the part. What drew you to Gummer? What was it as an actor? Where I mean, well, two things. What drew you to Gummer?
All
And
right.
Tremors. And did you see this character really just becoming what it is today? I mean, 20 plus years later.
Well, what drew me to Gummer is pure commercialism. I thought to myself, here is a character so vastly different from Stephen Keaton. That's wonderful. Then, as I read further, I thought, oh my God, he's funny too, because you began to see the possibilities of the absolute comic
Mm,
paranoia of this
yes.
man. Always prepared, and what they always did in a wonderful way in all of the films was they'd have him prepare for one thing, and then it would be a bait and switch. Something else would happen. And
Right. Well, in the first film, like you start this character off, he's preparing for World War III, if I remember correctly.
right,
Yeah.
and
So,
and he's living in an underground bunker,
right.
thinking he's got everything set, nobody can touch him. And the great irony of that is the monsters and the cataclysm he's expecting is something that is subterranean and can
Yes.
easily get into his survivalist retreat.
That's hilarious. I mean, we know that Gummer is a survivalist. He's a paranoid man. He's a weapons expert. What don't we know about Gummer, Michael? Can you tell us something we don't know about him?
Well, I will tell you this: that pretty much everything you want to know about Burt Gummer is is put right in front of you. It really is. It's not like he's a man with a lot of. It's not like he's a man with a lot of great secrets. That being said, um, and this sounds like a shameless plug, but Tremors 5 Bloodlines is going to take him into an area you've never seen before, emotionally.
Mm.
And this is what I found so interesting about it was Bert is pretty much Bert. I mean, you look at a lot of characters, they go through a great deal of change. Bert is pretty much who he is from beginning to end. Bert believes in himself, believes in his philosophy. He's chastened oftentimes by events of the film itself, but it's not Bert saying, I'm going to re-examine my philosophy. Something's wrong with me. That is not Bert.
His character doesn't change. The world around him
Right.
changes.
And he expects the world around him to change. He's not a man given to deep introspection about what have I done wrong. It's
Right.
what has everybody done wrong around
Right.
me.
And how am I going to blast them out of existence?
Right. But Tremors 5 is interesting because without giving anything away, I'll say he has some challenges in there beyond the monsters that are emotional challenges. I mean, the closest we got him see to emotional challenges was Bert losing Heather and admitting in Tremors 2, not only did he lose his wife, but even sadder, she took her HK-91 along with her.
I'm laughing now because I get the reference in Tremors 5 in
That
Bloodlines.
Oh,
Yes.
right. That really hurt. That really hurt losing that weapon, and that comes up again in Tremors 5. So,
Yeah,
you know,
in a very entertaining way, very much so, very
he's got
enjoyable.
he's got some thick skin. He's got some thick skin. He's not. And I said, uh, I kept emphasizing to the writers, they wanted. I said, emotion does not come easily to him. He has to be pushed, shoved. He cloaks himself in his own armor, if you will. And so going to an emotional place is extremely difficult for him. And I never want him to get there too soon. As we kept going through this script and he had to deal with emotional points, I said, let Bert deflect it as long as he can, as long as he can. Well, but then he doesn't look like a nice, warm guy. I said, he's not a nice, warm guy. I mean, inside, deeply, deeply, there is something, but it's so protected that it's going to take a lot of excavation to get there. So if you want Bert to be emotional, I said, "You're going to have to pull teeth with this guy." So that's what we tried to. There are moments when and only reluctantly will he ever go there because it's buried, like a lot of us. I mean, he is the quintessential guy's guy who's going to get angry before he gets emotional. That's how his hurt or his fear is going to come out in anger.
He's the last great '80s action star that's still kicking ass.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And Michael, I'll tell you, I think without again giving anything away, I'm the sequence that you're referring to. It was such a highlight. I mean your work and that sequence is brilliant in that film.
Oh well, thank you. So you've already
it's a lot.
Seen some of this.
I got a little sneak peek.
Okay. Well, I hope you feel it's somewhat in keeping with the Tremors of the past, because we knew after 13 years of not having to do Tremors, we were going to have to reinvent it in some ways for a generation who 25 years ago had not even seen Tremors 1.
Yeah, and not only that, but even longer for playing Bert, right?
Well, it'd been 13 years.
Wait, it was 13 years? Okay, all right.
Since we had done Tremors 4, the fourth, the third sequel, Tremors 4.
Tell me about Jamie.
And there was a Tremors series in there.
Oh yeah, that's right, on the Sci-Fi Network.
Right. There was
a Tremors series, and you were a part of that as well.
That's right. 13 episodes of, in some ways, an ill-begotten series. There were a lot of creative conflicts between the people who originated Tremors, that is to say, Steve Wilson, Brent Maddock, Nancy Roberts, and others, and myself, and what Sci-Fi wanted. We wanted, in a funny way, to investigate the characters more. We had visions of Bert trying to find love online in chat rooms in the sanctity
That's brilliant.
Exactly. I mean, we wanted to find Bert searching for a woman, and not knowing how to.
Of course, everybody needs a woman. It doesn't.
Sitting in his bunker, surrounded by armament, feeling somehow that this wasn't enough. And what Sci-Fi is, we wanted to investigate all those characters: Nancy, Bert, everybody, and what Sci-Fi essentially wanted was a monster a week movie, and a different monster every week. So it was not a marriage made in heaven, and we parted ways. And we thought these characters were so marvelous. We wanted to explore them more deeply, and I think they wanted more. We love monsters. Don't get us wrong; they were a part of every episode, but we wanted to do other things, and so
So were they looking over your shoulder, the filmmaker's shoulder, the whole time, and just not giving you the freedom to kind of explore, take it where you guys wanted to take it? Is that what we're hearing?
Well, in a word, yes.
Right.
And part of it was the guys. Again, this happens a lot. People will hire somebody like a Brent Maddock and a Steve Wilson who have done 3 brilliant Tremors, and they'll say, "We love what you do. Now, don't do it here."
Right. Right.
We want something entirely different.
Yeah, that's great. This is beautiful. Can you just change it a little like this, and then change it a little like this, and then it's like, we don't really like this anymore.
Whatever you do, don't do that again. What we so love. No,
right. We love that you had, the audacity and the courage to really do something really brave and original, and that's what we loved about what you did. Don't try that here, please.
Let's concentrate on Tremors 5 for a few minutes. October 6th, it's coming out. Michael, you're working with Jamie Kennedy on this one.
Yes, and this is a fantastic bit of casting because it is made for conflict. Jamie and I think the people have said the chemistry is very good. The chemistry between the characters is just so bizarre. We're very different sort of people. That is Burt Gummer and the character of Travis, and I think that crazy chemistry kind of works because you look at them and say, what the hell are these two guys doing together? This character of Jamie Kennedy essentially comes in and latches himself onto Bert, and Bert wants nothing more than to be left alone. That's the way he lives his life.
Right.
And so that's the beginning of the conflict, and so they become sort of yoked together in the course of this film. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of fascinating revelation and watching how this relationship develops in the course of it. And that being said, it was a great deal of fun because Jamie and I also work very differently. Jamie has done a lot of comedy. He likes to get up there. He likes to be totally in the moment. And I, who am more like Bert, I mean, not that I'm totally not in the moment, but he likes to sort of work on his feet sometime and say, let's see what happens if we just do this. And I'm the type of person who says, very much like Bert, no, we plan on what's going to happen. And there will be accidents, as there are always accidents. Right. And so we work very differently, too, where Jamie will say, let's just kind of see where the blocking takes us. And I will say, well, no, I like a little more of a pattern. And so even within that, there was a certain amount of conflict, which was beneficial, I think, to our whole chemistry, because right. I tend to be more like Bert. No, I kind of want a map of where I'm going. And Jamie's like, hey, let's just throw caution to the wind and do whatever we want. So there's a piece in this piece. There's a little bit of both of us.
That's cool. Respect. So that acting, like that philosophical difference that you two have, you think transcended onto the screen with the characters?
Well, that's my hope. Now that having been the case, there's a section in the piece, a long section with myself that involves a wild animal, where I do a great deal of improvisation myself. It's scripted, and there's.
I was going to ask you about those scenes. Yeah. Yes, if that was on you, because it sure seemed like you were just the cameras were rolling and you were in your zone.
Right, exactly. And I was just, looking for things and exploring. There was a certain amount of planning I'd done. I thought, well, I want to go into this area, and I want to go into that area, and I want to try this, but the words weren't exactly worked out, in all cases. And so in that respect, I can work both ways. I'm more accustomed, particularly as Bert. Bert is so specific and so obsessive compulsive that, frankly, when I'm working as Bert, I get a little like him.
Where did you shoot Tremors 5, Michael?
Tremors 5 was shot in South Africa, about 45 miles northwest of Johannesburg.
Wow.
And I must tell you, it was wonderful. The people are wonderful. We have ourselves in a hell of a group of actors, Afrikaans and Native Africans. There's a couple people who are full-on Zulu and other tribes people. And it was just wonderful. And I think probably, I love all the Tremors, and we hope to capture the feeling of each location in every film we did. But this is unusually rich because we have so much of the culture of a completely different country on a completely different continent. And I think that's very rich itself. You'll see native dancing, you'll see singing, it's fascinating. And just the color that comes with going to another place, completely foreign place.
Yeah, to Africa. It sounds more exciting than Foreman Ali, Michael.
Yeah, right. And it lasts a lot longer.
Right. Yeah.
I have never been before to South Africa. I've been to North Africa, and I'm married to a world traveler, and I've been on safari in sub-Saharan Africa, and I've been in North Africa, all over there, and in the Mideast, but I had never been to South Africa, and it was very rich. I love the people. Nice. I just had a great time.
We're talking with Michael Gross, actor Michael Gross, former star of Family Ties, also the star of the Tremors franchise. We're going to begin to wrap things up with Michael. Joe or Adam, do we have anything?
A couple questions just before we wrap up. If you have just a couple quick more minutes, Michael. I wanted to talk. Sure. One thing I definitely wanted to talk about is a film that you made, I think, last year that I actually directed an independent pilot last year. My cinematographer was P.J. Gaynard, who worked on a film you made called Our Father.
Well, lucky you.
And
PJ is a real pro.
yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely. We couldn't have done it without him. We couldn't have done it
Yes.
without him. He made our pilot look phenomenal and just was on top of everything. And I know he won an award for Our Father. You won several awards here in LA and other film festivals. Really an acclaimed movie. Everything I've heard about it. I wish I've had an opportunity to see it. I plan on it, but can you talk a little bit about that experience? It's an important movie, I think, and
yes,
hearing nothing but great things.
Yeah, I was. It was a very personal thing for me. I heard this story of this young director who was doing a. Oh my God, she's not that young, but everybody's younger than I am. Who was doing this film about a man with dementia and a short film, and I thought, geez, I want to be a part of this. I read the script. It was, as I say, it's 21 minutes long, so it was easy to read, and I thought, I've got to convince her to let me do this role. Now, it was personal because my own grandmother had had dementia, Alzheimer's, and for 10 years, my wife and I were caregivers to her mother, my mother-in-law, who lived in our home and had increasingly terrible, terrible dementia, late-stage dementia. So for 10 years, she was in our home, and so it was very personal to me, and I thought this was a kind of homage not only to my grandmother, but to my mother-in-law, and for anybody else who has to deal with people who have dementia. But it goes far deeper than that. It's not just a question of that. It's the things that this man reveals in the course. He has a moment of clarity, as sometimes happens with dementia, and reveals a secret to the family that helps to explain a lot of what's going on in their history. And how this Linda Palmer, the playwright and director, screenwriter and director, managed to fit all this into 21 minutes, I still have no idea. It's like a great short story or even a haiku that brings up so much in a very short space of time. And we've been very fortunate that it's made the rounds of a great many festivals, and you can find out more about it on Facebook. I think Our Father has a Facebook page, and if you don't mind a shameless plug, I reveal a lot of stuff about Tremors and a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff on my own Facebook page, which is simply facebook.com/actor Michael Gross. A lot of pictures you can't see anywhere, but behind-the-scenes stuff of them prepping the monsters and prepping special effects and just the hijinks that takes place on and off a set while you're filming.
Cool.
Nice.
Hey, you know what, Michael? We'll put those links up on our website, too, with this episode for you.
Oh, great. Thank you. And,
yeah, no problem. No, it's our pleasure.
Thank you. And I'd like to find you, too, and find you. Do you have a website or a Facebook page or both?
Everything. Yeah, we're all over the place. We're unstoppable at this point, Michael. Except the only thing that stops us is Skype.
Yeah, exactly. But you've managed to overcome even that.
Yeah, we tried to.
We battle with it on a weekly basis.
Adam, you have one more for Michael?
Yeah, how's your sister? Are you close with your sister?
I am close to my sister. And Mary Gross, as some may know out there, was a character for 4 years, one of the players on
SNL.
SNL, Saturday Night Live. Absolutely, some of you may remember her Marilyn Monroe, her Dr. Ruth Westheimer, Alfalfa, any number of people.
Yeah.
And
oh gosh, her Alfalfa, fantastic.
She's absolutely brilliant. One of the best improvisatory comedians I know. And how I was the person who got a sitcom before my sister, I still have no idea. She's brilliant. She's brilliant, and
she's got that SNL legacy. Yeah, that's that's awesome. You know, your sister being. I mean, there's nothing cooler than Saturday Night Live, right?
She is absolutely brilliant, and to this day, I think, why doesn't somebody hire her full time as a character? Because she's the best. She's just amazing. I have nothing but respect for her because she does things that I don't do. I'm a scripted person, and she is an unscripted person, and still as funny and as nutty as ever.
Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this past hour, seriously. And I want to say thank you, from everyone here at the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. It's been great, and you are, I mean, in my heart, like, just. You'll always be there in my heart, Michael, from your Stephen Keaton character.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thank you.
There was a kangaroo in my living room.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. That was brilliant, man. That was brilliant.
In the same episode, I have to say they wrote so well. They wrote so well. The kids were trying to apologize later in that episode, and there's another great line in that episode where they said, "Well, you're going to your room, you're doing this, and I'm grounding you, and this." And he said, "You mean you're not going to talk to us for the rest of our lives?" And Stephen just looked at he said, "Yes, that is my plan." Yes.
I remember that.
That is my plan.
I gotta tell you, that is such a vivid memory. I think if I recall, don't you even like kind of your hand goes down over your face, you take a second and then announce that is your plan. That moment is emblazoned in my memory from 30 years ago. It's brilliant.
Yeah. There's a kind of moment where he's so angry he can hardly speak. He just has to kind of wipe his brow. Yeah. It's all 7 seasons are on DVD now, so you can revisit them anytime, which is
nice.
Yes, definitely. Or you can just stay up and they replay them out here. I forget the channel they play them out here, but I definitely pop in every once in a while.
Is it Antenna TV?
They're constantly running.
There you go, Antenna TV. That's it. And Michael, the big one is October 6th, Bloodlines, Tremors 5.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want everybody to go check out. Michael Gross and Jamie Kennedy star in Tremors 5, Bloodlines. Michael, thank you so much for coming on.
The pleasure has been mine. Thanks so much, and good day to you all.
Awesome. And we got to get you back on, too, in the future. You're a lot of fun.
Thanks so much.
It would be my pleasure.
Adios. All right, Michael.
Take care.
Joe, Adam, what a wonderful guest.
Yeah, that was a blast.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, he just seems like the real deal too. He's just seems like a nice guy.
He's an incredibly nice guy. He's a talented guy, man. Like I said, I mean, we're talking earlier in the show. I was telling Joe, 20 years ago, Joe, I told you, I'm like, this guy could do this.
Well, you should have offered him the part. Is that script ready yet?
Well, I was listen, I was very excited about it, Joe, until you just told me that I was just living a pipe dream.
Look at there. You never
me for 20 years. I can't finish anything.
You should have persevered, Tom, and you would have had your perfect opportunity to offer him the part right now.
Today, I got
today, and proven me wrong.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the season 6 premiere of the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. We are going to be back next week, and we're going to be doing Salt of the Earth, right, Joe? We're doing 2014 Salt of the Earth.
Yeah, I was gonna do the photographic image, and I'm just taking this because I just saw that Salt of the Earth movie, and it just really blew me away. I wanted to share it with you guys, so I'm not sure what to do about the classic review. I'm kind of up for maybe.
What did you have?
I'll talk to you. I was gonna just continue the photographic image. Blow up.
That's what's up there. Blow up. If you're following, we got Joe's thinking Blow Up and Peeping Tom.
Peeping Tom,
man.
Yeah, I like it. I had originally wanted to schedule like a germ one. This movie's safe. I need to watch that again. I saw it once, like maybe like 6 months ago, and I've been meaning to watch it again. And I was thinking about it because I think Max would really like it. So I'm not sure if I might switch my theme, but. Yeah, we'll see.
But there's no doubt. Definitely, listen, there's no doubt we're coming back next week with Salt of the Earth.
Yeah, Salt of the Earth for sure.
And I'm doing the introduction. I'm very excited about that. So I get the first movie discussion intro with Salt of the Earth on season 6. That's going to be awesome. Other things to keep in mind, folks, is our Halloween show, our big Halloween program will be coming up.
Dave insisted on being on that show.
Yeah, I had to switch things around. Well, you know what? I do the schedule here, guys, and I'm like, I put Max, Tom, Billy, and Joe on for Halloween because I'm like, well, when we started this podcast, we were on a horror channel, and I just figured I'd take the 4 original guys and we do the horror. But Dave is like, no, you're not doing that.
Dave had different ideas.
Right.
It's fun, hilarious.
Yeah, Pace, Pace is all now he's back. Like, he's all over the place. He's on Twitter, he's on Facebook, he's arguing with Rue Morgan.
Like, he'll disappear for like a year, and then all of a sudden
he's telling me how to run the show. He's starting to tell me how to run the show. I'm like, I've been working hard at this for years. He's like, no, listen, buddy, I think you made a mistake. Put me on the Halloween show. All right, Pace, take it easy. Jeez. I'm just trying to. I just moved. I moved. You know, I got a new job. Blah blah blah. I'm just like trying to get everything.
Dave's coming at you, biting.
Yeah, I got Pace. I got a Canadian. I swear, I was going to work the other day. I was taking a taxi, and there was a bunch of Canadian geese on the road. I was like, "Hey, driver, can you freaking run those pricks over?" Like, you know, freaking
Canadian.
You wanted to exact.
They are trouble, Shoulder. I'm telling you, man. Oh, listen. You know what I wanted, because I do want to talk about movies real quick. Real quick, Joe. Yeah. I watched the comedy and I loved it.
Yeah, that was the other one. I was thinking maybe you were gonna.
I was thinking that
you were gonna program that in too, man. That was pretty amazing.
Man, film, just that whole movie.
What did you watch?
The comedy.
It's this film. It's a low budget indie film about hipsterism in Brooklyn. So it goes to the epicenter of hipsters and just tears them apart from the inside. Like it has such a intimate knowledge of what hipsters are,
disgusting
and how
behavior.
Tragic they are. Yeah. And you know what? That is exactly what I after I saw that, I texted Billy. I was like, I have maybe the most disgusting movie ever, because I don't think I've ever watched a movie and been so disgusted as watching it.
It's like it's horrifying. It really is. It's totally vile. And you know what? The funny thing is that it started the guys that did the Tim and Eric show.
Oh, okay,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Tim. What's that guy's name? Yeah, they're really funny guys. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But this movie is very serious. It's very disturbing and it's very serious. And to watch these guys, perform in this movie is quite extraordinary. I mean, it really is. And they have everything down. And this director, to me, I'm curious to watch more from this director, because I love the tone of the movie, Joe. It was awesome.
Has he done other stuff?
Yeah, he's got a new movie coming out called Entertainment. That looks pretty weird. And yeah, he did, I think, 2 other movies before the comedy. So I mean, he's definitely compiling a body of work.
But he's an indie guy, right?
Yeah, for now,
See,
they're indie guys. You know how this works, Joe. They're all indie guys, like Aronofsky. You do Pi, you do Requiem, and then forget about it.
Well, Requiem was a big one. He was
one of my all-time favorite.
But you know what I'm saying. Now he's made. Now you don't even. I don't even think he knows what he's making. Did you see that movie? What was that movie he did with Crow?
Oh, Noah.
Oh my God, it was unwatchable.
Yeah, I saw
Noah. I don't want to watch this.
In the
it
theaters.
Was so bad. Holy cow!
I saw Noah in the theaters, and I was so confused because I could not remember what part of the Bible the rock monsters were in.
Yeah, right. Or oh my God, that movie was infuriating. All these animals, it's like trying to be being realistic about putting every animal on Earth on the, it's perfectly reasonable that they all go to sleep for 30 days or whatever with the magic root. That's hilarious.
The comedy
was a little on the silly side.
The comedy stars Tim Heidecker and Eric Wareheim. Musician James Murphy is in it. It's directed by Rick Alverson. It came out in 2012. Really great look on the hipster personality, the hipster scene in
just how vacant
Brooklyn.
just how empty that hipsterism is, man. I've always hated that shit.
Noah Baumbach also did a film this past year with Ben Stiller. And I love Noah. Guys, I love Baumbach. I mean, you guys know I'm a big Squid and Whale fanatic. But Baumbach just did a movie with Ben Stiller that's also it delves into the hipster scene, just like the comedy, and it's pretty outrageous too. So you want to check that out. I'm trying to get the name of the film.
I think it's called When We're Young.
Well, yeah,
while we're young.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I saw that as well this summer, and
I've been wanting to see that one. That's with Naomi Watts.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
I
yeah.
love her. Oh my God, I love her. Everything Naomi Watts is in, forget about. Oh, I've watched King Kong 10 times.
Nothing
She's
beats
pretty great. She's a
Lynch's movie. Fuck, what is it?
Mulholland
Mulholland Drive.
Drive. Mulholland Drive.
That is the more.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I've watched almost everything that Lynch has ever done, but Lynch, his film Mulholland Drive, is that about like an actor playing an actor? Is a revolve around that the storyline?
Yeah, she's
It's
an
just,
actress.
it's it's about an actress coming to Hollywood to pursue her dream, and then, as in most David Lynch movies, terrible, terrible things happen.
Well, it's funny because I'm a big fan of Entourage, and my picks are going to be coming up after the Halloween show. And while we're talking about what's coming up this season, I'll throw this out there. I was thinking about doing Entourage and then having like actors playing Hollywood actors, and I was gonna do Purple Rose of Cairo and Tootsie,
Oh,
but
that's great.
but Holland Drive might be fascinating too, right? I could probably throw that in the mix as opposed to two movies that were, I know Purple Rose of Cairo and Tootsie were out around, in the early '80s. So I thought maybe I could just get an '80s and a '90s one in there. So I might do that. Plus, I never saw Mulholland Drive,
Oh,
which is just
oof.
ridiculous, right?
Yeah, you should probably see
Yeah,
that.
so maybe we'll do that. Now, my only thing is trying to figure out what I should bore everyone. Well, I think you guys probably like the Purple Rose of Cairo. I don't know what you feel about Tootsie. I love Tootsie. I think it's a great body work, but
I think it's great.
it is a great movie. But it's always fun to talk about Woody Allen on this show.
It's all good.
Well, listen, we have so much coming up on season 6 this fall. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's a little short in season, but still we're going to get I think a total of 9 episodes out there for you, which is pretty awesome. And I hope everyone enjoyed the season 6 premiere. I want to thank Michael Gross for coming on. He was absolutely awesome. Please don't forget to check out Tremors 5 Bloodlines, Tuesday, October 6th. It comes out everywhere, on demand, DVD, whatever you want. Check it out. Adam and Joe, I'd like to thank you both very much for doing the season 6 premiere with me, man. It's great to hear both of your voices, even if it says in and out as Adam's shoulders tonight, Joe.
I don't think I've ever seen any of the Tremors movies except for Tremors 5, but I realize now that after watching that Tremors 5 that I need to go back and take a look at it.
I was watching some of the first one today, and the second one. They invest a lot in these.
Yeah, well, they really did a good job with the effects, which I was surprised about.
Right.
5 movies in, and
Right.
I hear all good things about like Tremors,
Dude,
the original.
Well,
Tremors.
the first one is really a well made movie with a clever concept and good execution, well acted. It's solid. The first one I highly recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out, absolutely. But Tremors 5, I had a lot of fun. After I kind of understood what was going on, like it's a little bit of tongue in cheeky thing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah,
So,
well, they're fun movies, listen, these horror fanatics, man. If they like something, they make people run with it, man, forever. And the gross character, the Burt Gummer character, Adam. It's a really fucking funny character, man.
Well, the sequence that he was talking about, where Bert has to face new challenges and it goes to a deeper emotional level.
Right.
I think it's worth seeing the film just for that sequence. Michael Gross is at his best. He is so deep in the zone with that character. It's hysterical, and he has such great lines throughout, from beginning to end. The lines that the writers have for him are gold.
Yeah, definitely comedic gold, definitely. Adam, any plugs before we go?
Do I have any plugs for you? Not at the moment, but I'll tell you what, by the time I'm on the next show, I'm going to have a few plugs.
He's going to have it all figured out for everybody, Joe.
I'm going to have everything
He's working
you need
it out.
in the next show. I'll have everything you need.
He's going to have it together for us. Joe, what about you? What's going on?
Well, you got that Facebook thing at least you could put out there, Adam, though, the PC Starland?
StarlandPC.com. Absolutely, that is the independent.
That's what I was looking for, Adam.
All right, well, I can give you that one. I'll give you that one. This is the one that that Michael Gross and I got to work with, the same director of photography there that we were just speaking of, who did a great job. StarlandPC.com. And if there's some previews and a teaser trailer and a lot of information, and if if anyone's interested in taking a look at it, you can message me through that website, and I will hook you up with a place online you can watch it.
Nice.
Yeah, I watched it, and it was a joy. It was a lot of fun to watch. Watch you as the super chill Lebowski spirit guide, the life coach was a blast. I didn't realize you were in it, Adam. So that was fun.
Everybody.
Well, I out of just pure ego, of course, if I'm writing and directing something, I'm going to have to put myself in it and work with some of my friends. But I tried to keep myself to a smaller part and not anything that I had to stretch too far. Nothing I had to really work too hard at.
Right. You're kind of making fun of yourself in a way.
A little bit, yes. Just a sort of a bit of an exaggeration of myself in a sense. It was fun.
Wonderful man necklace you were wearing in that as well.
Everybody knows.
I went down to Venice Beach down here and made my wardrobe purchases.
There you go.
Nice. Everybody knows they can check out Joe's film work at ChristianaProductions.com. Also check out Max Cook's blog at Max Cook Uncorked,
who plays a Hasidic Jew at Adam's Pilot, by the way.
Oh my God.
A mayonnaise pitch-in rabbi.
That's right.
The Zillatones do the music. Check them out at www.thezillatones.com. Christiana Productions and New Media Limited. Those are your production companies. You can follow me on Twitter, Thomas Detloff, at TCRM Podcast. Follow me over there. I'm having a lot of fun. I've been more active on Twitter. I've been trying to be more active on Twitter. It's a grind over there. I know, Adam, you stay far away from that shit, man.
I am over there. Terrible at social media. I don't involve myself very much in it, but when there's something that needs to be said, I might get on there. But
it's so funny, man. Yeah, when I'm on there, Adam, and I'm hashtagging and I'm getting information out there, like shit starts moving around a little bit. It's amazing. And that's why I'm trying to be out there more on Twitter. I'm trying to be.
Good.
But
I wish I could be. Really, for me, it's a time issue. And at some point, I'm going to need to find a way to be a little more proactive with some of the social media. But seriously, man, good for you. Get out there, make some noise, get some people to tune in and give a listen.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Right out loud, get the party started.
Oh, listen, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, the Cutting Room Movie Podcast over on YouTube. Lots of subscribers over there. I mean, it's going crazy over there. We got over 2.1 million views. It's
someone was asking where the hell we are.
Well, we're back, man. We're right here. We ain't going.
Oh, what's his name? What's his handle?
Warrington
Warrington, something like that. This one's for you, buddy.
Something. People are like, "Hey, where are you guys?" And then, like, if they're really that obsessed with the show, they would know where we are.
Yeah, I know. Well, the people on YouTube get get it.
I think that's the thing, man. That they're not listening to the full show. You know what I'm saying? They're just listening to the film discussions. So they're just taking that and they're just waiting for more stuff to come up, and they have no idea that it's like we're a serial, right? I mean
pow, here we are.
Yeah, I mean we're episodic. So all right, well listen, that's it, guys. Thanks a lot for doing the show again. Thanks, Michael Gross. We're over and we're out. Ciao.
Next time to satisfy more of your strange desires. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast. We do chicken right. jousted bouts are cutting up cinema like it's never been cut up before. There's going to be reviews. There's going to be interviews. There's going to be hijinks. And there's going to be a whole lot of cutting in this room. The Cutting Room Movie Podcast. Coming at you 128 kilobytes per second.
This is the Cutting Room Movie Podcast, our Season 6 premiere. I am your host, as always, as usual, Tom Detloff. I am writing with another friend of ours, and I'm trying to write like this serial killer film, this screenplay. And I said to Joe, I'm like, Joe, man, Michael Gross would make an excellent.
Oh, I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Listen, I said, Joe, Michael Gross could act his ass off. This guy could play an excellent serial killer.
That's right. I do remember.
I would love to get him to do what I'm writing. And you know what, Adam? You know what Joe said to me?
What's that?
Sounds like a pipe dream to me. Well, listen, I never wrote that. Hold on, I never wrote that screenplay. Never made that movie. Michael Gross didn't act in my movie, but Michael Gross is with us on the Cutting Room.
That's amazing. There you go. All things come to sort of. I have to tell you, Tom, you never cease to amaze me with your memory, man. That is incredible. Did you watch that episode recently?
No, it's just an episode that I really love.
Oh my God, that is
when he delivers. I mean, I'll say that like I'll talk to people about that scene in passing because I mean. You get into conversations sometimes with friends, and we grow up watching the same shows, and a show like Family Ties always comes up because I mean, with Joe Christiana and Adam Shoulder, in just a few minutes, we're going to talk to Michael Gross, star of the Tremors franchise. It's going to be a great one. Joe, Adam, how you guys doing?
Good. And Family Ties. I feel like I'm about to talk to an old family member.
I'm about to talk to my real father, Joe.
Right? Yeah, he was more of a father to me than my actual father.
Well, listen, I have a little story that could tie in real quick that's really funny, actually. So if you listen to the show, you are aware of the fact that Joe and I are very old friends, and we used to live together in New Brunswick around the Rutgers campus. And we would, spend a lot of time watching a lot of films, watching a lot of TV series, just having a good time. One particular night, Joe, we were up really late, and Family Ties was on. And it was a classic episode. It really was. It was an episode where Stephen and Elise, played by Michael Gross and Meredith Baxter Burney, they go away for the weekend. And they leave Alex, Mallory, and Jennifer alone with Alex in charge. What happens is Alex wants to have a lady friend over, and he wants to get rid of Mallory and Jennifer, so he boots them out of the house, giving Mallory permission to drive the family vehicle, which she was punished from doing. She doesn't even get out of the driveway before the car is in an accident. So what they do is, to make money to pay for the damaged car, they wind up renting rooms out like a hotel. And all this chaos ensues. It is just, it's one of the, my personal favorite Family Ties episode. All this chaos ensues, and Stephen comes back early. And in the living room, there's just a massive party going on. There's popcorn, there's a keg of beer, there's even a kangaroo bouncing up and down in the living room, much to Stephen's surprise. Now, what happens at the end of the episode is Stephen explains to the kids, he's like, listen, he goes, when a parent goes away, he expects certain things to happen. He's like, a broken dish, spilled milk on the carpet. There was a kangaroo in my living room. And he has like this repressed anger. It's almost like psychopathic. It's just really good acting. At this particular time, it was one of the biggest shows on television in the 80s.
Yeah, but that said, and that was a beautiful introduction, by the way, but you have a savant memory for actors and episodes and dialogue in movies. Like I said, it never ceases to impress. Amazing.
It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I was obsessed with the show, Joe. I mean, I even took it.
Oh, I was.
I
too,
took
man.
it a step further. I mean, I really patterned myself as a mini, a mini Alex Keaton when I was a kid. I mean, I would wear shirt and ties to school. I honestly, I really tried to be Alex P. Keaton. You know, I,
It's amazing there are more Republicans young than are. Well, I guess there are too many.
There's more than enough Republicans.
That's true. Well, I guess maybe I should rephrase that. It's amazing that we didn't turn into Republicans, by the way, how much we idolize Michael Keaton performance.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, he is just, I mean, he's a legend. Adam, I mean, you had to have grown up watching the show too, right?
Oh, absolutely. I was 13 in 1982. So when that show premiered, and you know what's interesting is for at that time in the 80s, and our younger viewers or